The other thing I had to tend to was the garden. Spring is in full bloom, and we have this lovely wisteria that sort of like grows over the front of the house, which had gone a bit wild. And so I just, without thinking, I just grabbed the secateurs. How do you say secateurs? Secateurs. What are they called? Come on.
Secateurs.
Secateurs?
Secateurs?
The garden scissors.
Not secateurs. That's like the three secateurs. That's like
The knockoff brand of.
yeah, secateurs. Now that you've said it all those ways, I actually cannot say it.
Podcast Mike, can you just Google the correct pronunciation of
How do you even
secateurs?
spell it?
I
What
don't
would
even
your
know.
guess be? Like, let's guess at how you spell secateurs.
I'll go first. All right, secateurs. S-E-C, S-E-C, U-T-I-E-R-S.
UTI. Okay.
You do it. Guess.
I have no idea how you spell
Oh,
secateurs.
is it secateurs as an S-C-S-S-C-E-C? Sec. I don't know. I mean,
Okay, here we go.
Mike's. Oh, we got it?
Mike goes, it's Secaters.
Secateurs.
Secateurs.
Secateurs. All right. So I busted out the secateurs and I hit this wisteria. And Iona came out to give Dad a hand. And so I was up the ladder cutting down the loose vines and dropping them on the ground. And she was putting them into a pile for me. And Gemma came out and she's like, is that safe? Like, is that fine? And I'm like, yeah, of course it is. Like, why would anyone hang wisteria all over the front of their house and the doorway if it was poisonous? So Jem goes back in the house, comes up 2 minutes later and says, yeah, apparently it's very poisonous.
Yeah, deadly. Deathly poisonous.
If you ingest it, can be fatal.
Yeah.
Even through the skin, you can absorb it, can cause like a rash or whatever. And it was like the grass scrubs all over again, where I was so convinced, having no horticultural experience in my life, just silence. You know what I was like? I was like a dude who looked at the coronavirus and was like, I reckon it's not that bad.
It's just like a common cold, isn't it?
Like a
Like
common
this wisteria is just like any other plant that won't kill you if you eat it.
It's green. It looks like buffalo grass. It looks like
Why
long
would they
buffalo
grow
grass.
it outdoors if it was poisonous? It makes no sense.
And so I did. So I trimmed it all, and I wasn't wearing gloves or anything. So I only went inside. Jimmy gave her a good scrub down, and I was still maintaining that it wasn't that bad because I checked out the Wikipedia entry as well, and it was like, generally it's the seeds. If you eat the seeds or part of the plant, that can be when it shouldn't be ingested, but can cause rash, diarrhea, rash, dizziness, all this kind of stuff. And then I spent the rest of that night like a character from The Thing, just paranoid that the wisteria had got into my bloodstream. Like I was sort of feeling a bit not right, and I'm like, oh. Is that is it got in my bloodstream? Is this it? Am I going to die? The conversation I was having in my head was, I will not admit to Gemma that I was sick.
No, that's why you die. It'd be extremely treatable if you actually just went and got medical attention, but you refuse to ask for said medical attention because you want to prove a point.
Yeah. Well, because even when she showed me the page entry, I was like, oh yeah, but it says ingested, it's poisonous. Yeah. I'm sure it'll be fine, and I have cut that wisteria in the past and not noticed any discomfort, but I'd cut a lot more this time because it was so overgrown. And I was sitting there getting like stomach pains and feeling every little itch on my arm. I'm like, oh my God, here it comes. And then in my head, I'm like, how do I take the car to get to the hospital without her knowing? Like, do I have to wait till she goes to sleep
good.
and then
good plan.
Put the car into neutral and roll it down the driveway so she doesn't hear me leave, get to the hospital, get whatever treatment I need, come back and slide back into bed without her knowing?
Yeah, I mean, without her knowing is a generous interpretation of how that would go.
Yeah.
I feel like she would find out at some stage and call you and be like, where the fuck are you? And you'd be like, I'm at the hospital. I'm worried that I'm dying in a mysterious way. And I've checked myself in. They're pumping my blood.
To see the full video, join our Patreon.
Patreon.com/TOFOP.